Then I take it as a challenge, and I know, okay, my background is strong. I will be able to, if I did this kind of difficult calculation in my undergraduate time, I would be able to manage this. That helped me to realize what a chemical and process engineer actually do. So it is like all the manufacturing equipment, vessels and everything are there, safety, and then again sometimes certain calculations, heat exchanger designs. My fourth year, I was really a serious undergraduate. So during our inauguration, I had an experience what chemical engineers are really doing. So it is like more on to like industries, processes, equipments, as well as there's a small factor open to me as like entrepreneur.
Hello everyone, and welcome to I AM from DCPE. This is where we try to connect the alumni of the Department of Chemical and Process Engineering, DCPE, to our current students to give them an understanding and an idea of what chemical and process engineers do in the real world and how their work impacts the world. And our guest today is a chemical engineer. Having over 10 years of experience in the leading multinational pharmaceutical company GSK, she currently serves as the Senior Manager, GSK Production Systems, a role she has held for 2 years now. She, of course, is from DCPE, and she would have a wealth of experience having risen through the ranks of one of the most reputed companies in the world, an experience that we hope she will share with us today. So, Mrs. Gagani Nandadeva, it's a pleasure to have you here with us today.
Yeah, pleasure is ours.
So, we want to start at the very beginning. Talk about how you first came into this university, decided to come into our department, and then went on to the industry. So to go back to the very beginning, just after you finished your A-levels, and what made you pursue a career in engineering? Did you have that passion when you were growing up, or how did that come to be?
Yeah, so actually speaking, like when I was a small child, I did not I had a lot of dreams. Sometimes I wanted to become a doctor, sometimes I wanted to even become a farmer. So likewise, I had my dream career was like varying time to time. But when it comes to my ordinary level, so those days, so my brother, my cousin, and so they were doing maths, science. So one was a doctor and one was graduate in the University of Moratuwa. So during those days only, I was exploring what those people are doing. So passion came into me okay, whether I need to be either a doctor or either an engineer. So because even I was not really good at history, languages, likewise, and I was really good at doing maths and science. So only my focus was to become an either in the science field, and then when it comes to after my O-level, I decided, okay, this is the path that I am going to select, considering the pros and cons both doctors and engineers are telling.
So you made quite an analysis of the factors that was there. And so when you did decide to come to the University of Moratuwa, there would have been a vast number of departments for you to choose from. What made you go for chemical and process engineering?
So to be honest, I had only few options in my plate as well. So either I had to become a civil engineer, and I had to select chemical and process engineering, or I have to select material science engineering.
Right.
So starting in my O-level duration as well, when I think about an engineer, the picture that came into my mind was a kind of civil engineer,
yes,
like bridges and this structural engineering.
Same thing that happens to all of us.
Yes. So I thought engineering was all about structural engineering. But when it comes to after first year, when I decide whether I'm going for civil engineering, chemical or material science, so again referred some literatures, referred some our seniors as well. So I was not that much of an outsider, exposed to sunshine. So I thought, okay, this is the path that I'm going to have. As well as during our inauguration, I had an experience what chemical engineers are really doing. So it is more on to industries, processes, equipments, as well as there's a small factor open to me as entrepreneur.
Right.
So I just wanted to become a chemical engineer. The pros were there, either I will be an entrepreneur or either I will be migrating where chemical and process engineering jobs are highly demanded in the foreign countries. So I decided to become a chemical and process engineering graduate, as well as like I was really happy because my best friend also selected chemical and process engineering. So that is why I started my undergraduate as a chemical process engineering undergraduate.
Right. So when you first came to the Department of Chemical and Process Engineering, when you started studying in your second semester, what were your first impressions of this discipline? Maybe you might not have been that familiar with it, like you said, in our childhood, this is not an engineering discipline that we often hear about. So what were your first impressions when you came to our department?
Yes, exactly that happens because like the picture in our mind like engineer is person who is like designing, creating these bridges and like structural engineering things. And when we come to department like studying engineering, thermodynamics, those subjects when I started to study, I was just feeling like frustrated with why I am studying this. What is the application, real application in industry? But later onwards, there are more modules came into line. Heat exchangers, design of heat exchangers, and then again for industrial applications, pumps, and then mixing vessels. So likewise, so I was started to connect the dots here and there. Okay, so there's a kind of a path for engineers in this particular field. So that is how like I started to get myself onboarded with the chemical engineering. But still certain like for certain subjects when I study like because in this module also we had to study HR and management related subjects as well. So I had the question why I am studying these things. So when it comes to industry only I realized like only focusing yourself in this particular area will not suit you because you need to have your management skills and everything lined up together to be like groomed as a very good engineer for the industry.
Right. And the 3 years, maybe a little more than 3 years that you spent at the department, how would you describe that experience you had?
Yes. So I will like categorize into two areas. One is related to the academics as well as the entire life that I spent at the university. So the second category, like when I because in our first year we had a lot of friends, like majority were friends with us. But when it comes to the chemical department, chemical and process engineering department, I realized okay there are kind of this caste system or something like that is coming into people's mind. Okay, so these departments think they are superior, and likewise I realized there are different things are going on. So the friends that had initially, so it is like I realized okay after some time people are changing. So these departments are isolated and we feel like okay at the chemical and process engineering, so we are in a different silo.
Yeah.
But I was really happy that my best friend is also with me. So it is like I started to like have more and more friends from my own department. So together like we spent up like had a very good time and try to ignore what other people are telling, because ultimately decided okay certain people are there who are like as the initial days they are friends, but there are certain people who change after they selected into department. So I started to ignore those facts. Those are all external factors. Okay, so focus on myself and my friends who are really close to us. So because of that, like I was able to like reduce that the negative feelings that they are deriving because of this discrimination. And when it comes to academic field, so that is the second factor. So it is like there are like in our second year and third year, sometimes I was not that much serious into the studies.
Right.
Okay, because it is like okay we are doing lectures, practicals, assignments and things like that are moving. And sometimes I was like frustrated whether why I am studying this, what is the application of this in the industry. And it is like sometimes I tend to like even skip my lectures sometimes time to time. So it is like we just enjoying our time at the university and like lack of focus in the studies. But when it comes to the industrial exposure as an intern, so I obtained my industrial training, implant training at Unilever Sri Lanka Limited. So then only I realized why I have studied those areas. And I started to rethink, okay, these things are really important for us. Okay, so sometimes in our internship period, so the projects and things like that have been assigned to us, So I was just go and refer back the previous lecture notes that I had like did not give much focus into. So those things really helped me to realize what a chemical and process engineer actually do. So it is like all the manufacturing equipment, vessels and everything are there, safety, and then again sometimes certain calculations, heat exchanger design. So everything come into their relevancy. I realized when I go to industrial experiment, industrial implant period. And then thereafter, during my 4th year, I was really a serious undergraduate. So I never skipped lecture or the assignment or anything, I never skipped. And then only I realized, okay, this is the industry that I am in, and in order to survive in the industry, I need to focus these matters seriously.
Right. I think that's one of the blessings or one of the problems that we have sometimes, because the engineering field of chemical and process engineering is a very hands-on field, and you have to actually be there, see what's happening, involve with it to understand what's really going on. And that's why people don't tend to know, that's why lay people don't tend to know much about this industry, because most of the all, they wouldn't have gone and seen that industry for themselves. Because even we as undergraduates, we all have that experience of not properly understanding why we are studying this until we go to our industrial training. And that's when we start to connect all the dots and put them together. Yes. So it's really a dilemma that we only get to properly understand when we go to the field and see everything that's happening. It's also one of the good things, because it's really what we are learning, we can really see how it applies and how it really is impacting the world, and how we really need those tools and how vital they are exactly to whatever we do. Yes. So you said you became a serious undergraduate in your final year and you started to focus really hard and work hard. How did that translate into what your plans were after graduating? Did you have an idea of what you want to do afterwards?
Yes, because like after my internship period, so like first my focus was to like migrate, because chemical and process engineering has like huge area of opportunities in the like other countries.
Yes.
So I wanted to migrate. So in order to do that, I thought, okay, I would be starting from my master's degree.
Right.
So I started like doing my master's there, and then after some time, even before I complete my master's, so then after some time, like it is like again I decided to change my mind and I wanted to enter the industry, because most of my friends are in the industry and it is really seems to be really impressive. So I entered into the industry. So I joined GSK in 2012 as a management trainee for production. So then even when I joined to GSK in the field of production, but still it is the position was management trainee production. So my path would be like production executive, production manager, likewise. So there's no engineering involved. Right. Engineering designation or title is involved, but I wanted so badly something like engineering.
Right.
Okay, so in that case, I was like, okay, this is fine at the moment, but I was like, what I had in mind was after some time I will find a designation related to engineering. I will move into engineering field. So that is how I started. And then even I started, so it is like when I joined GSK, I joined for special product, special line. So two new products were launched in our organization. So it is like really interesting, because all the facilities being fabricated, machines and all the things are getting and fabricated and being under installation. So our first task is to like set up assigned to the ENO and IDEX plant where the products are being so we will be like observing how the plant is being set up, initial setup, and the machine installation, machine validations, and then initial production startup.
You can observe the entire process from the very beginning.
Observe the entire process from the beginning, as well as like I was like all the P&I diagrams, so everything is like being fabricated in front of our eyes.
Yes.
So it is like really then only I realized, okay, there's part of chemical and process engineering there. So it is like, okay, so it came into like a really good experience for me as well. So within 1 or 2 months time, certain interviews that I have gone through by that time, so there had been certain engineering opportunities for me as well. but still I decided to stay there. And then we started commercial manufacturing, and things like that are really impressive because we are doing the production. We are doing the production and we are new to the process, so lot of factors are there to consider. Yes, lot to learn, and lot of the things that we had learned in our undergraduate there were in practice.
Right.
Mixtures are there, so we are like during the process validation, we are determining what is the mixing efficiency. So because of that like strong structure, strong background that we had came from, there are certain situations that were there for me to enable troubleshooting those problems.
Right, and that's something that only a chemical engineer would have the background to.
Yes, of
tackle.
course. Because most of the things that we have heard, like steam traps and utilities and everything came into picture, and it is really easy for me to like, even because like it is really difficult thing for a fresh graduate to understand entire end-to-end process.
Yeah.
But this background helped me to understand, okay, these things are there because of that. So it was like really impressive to be working in there. But when it comes to like after some time, after like the process get established, less as a production person, I was like chasing the output. So I'm assigned to like 60 employees were assigned under me. So I'm just chasing them for the target.
Yeah.
So daily I'm checking, okay, what is the amount that you have filled, what is the amount you have packed, have you delivered the output? So I just started to realize, okay, this I'm like, because in our degree we design distillation columns, the height of distillation columns and heat exchangers. So those are the things that we like learned.
Yes.
And even in our like final year undergraduate project and final year research project, so those things were highly theoretical, and I started to feel, okay, what are the things that I am doing right now? Okay, so it is like there was some grace period for me. Okay, I am not utilizing the brain that I have in chemical and process engineering.
Right.
So am I adding value to the things that I have learned? So there was some grievance with me. But then after that I realized, okay, this is how I have learned and this is what I am doing now. What I can only do is to apply what you have learned into the processes. Otherwise we cannot expect industry to ask me to apply what I have learned.
Yes, true.
So thereafter I started applying certain like process improvement initiatives, like process studying and everything to enable me to develop my end-to-end processes.
Right. Can you maybe give us a small example of something you did?
Yes, so it is like, let's say one example is like we do like fill iodex. So when we fill iodex and the product, there's a cooling line. So the product needed to, once it get filled, we need to fill the travel it through a cooling line. So in that case, the cooling efficiency, so we are unable to improve the speed because the cooling efficiency is not there.
Right.
So it like every time when we talk about the speed increase, that comes
That's
as
a
a
constraint.
bottleneck. Yes, that's a constraint. So in that sense, what I have to do is like in my masters also, I was like further gain my understanding on what is the airflow pattern inside a duct. So things like that I have been studied. So in that case, I did some CFD, that is called computational fluid dynamics. So that is what I have learned in my masters. So I use that particular same software in order to study the flow pattern in the cooling duct. So in order to, by doing that, I realized, okay, the cooling air coming through is like just directly going upward, and it is not like getting the total exposure into the jars. So because of that, then I designed the cooling tunnel in an optimum way, so that I included certain duct lines and redesigned the process so that the maximum cooling can be obtained. So because of that, the bottleneck was removed. So then thereafter, there were no restriction for me to improve the speed. So when I started the process, we did like at the beginning, the process speed, it is like per day, like we clapped when we produce 8,000 jars. But ultimately, by increasing the speed, I was able to gain the per day output like 50,000 to 60,000. So it is not only that particular improvement, but as a chemical engineer, my mind was there like, okay, I need to continuously improve my process. I'm not there just to monitor what is you have done, filled or packed. I need to use my knowledge to improve my own process, improve the safety of my people, and improve the quality of the product that we are developing. So I'm just was able to connect these dots for what I have learned and what I am really applying in the industry.
That's very impressive. I think one of the problems that that people also have is that once you graduate and go to the industry, you'll be stuck in a mundane position where you don't have to use the full set of skills you learn, and that most of the things we learn won't be applied. But what you're saying is that actually there are opportunities, and even if you're in a role that doesn't expect you to change things, you can still, as an engineer, inherently we should be able to look at processes and see what can be changed and what can be improved. Yes. And yes, and the fact that you have done that is very impressive, and I think that's a lesson to learn for everyone. So can you tell us, GSK, you're still there, you've been working there for more than 10 years at this point, and you started off as a management trainee and you have a big journey there, and now you're working as a senior manager GSK Production Systems. Can you tell us a little about how you got here?
Yes, of course. So yes, I joined as a management trainee for production. So initially I was assigned to an IDEX section. So we had 3 value streams: liquid section and tablet section and powder and balm section. So time to time I was moved from each and every production department. So it was during each and every production sections, I was able to do a drastic change in there, improving the production efficiency and do a lot of cost saving projects as well. So in that era, we introduced GSK Production System as well. So it is kind of operational excellence related field. Right. So it is we are focusing on Lean, Six Sigma related initiatives. So we are considering on process optimization more. So as a production person, so I also embraced this GSK production system. I studied them, learned them, and I started to apply them in my own production area. So that was the expectation from the GSK production system as well. Each and every department manager has to learn them and apply as desired in their own functional area. So then after some time I was I did it in a really impressive way, where every other functions has to come and benchmark the way I have did it. Okay, so in that case, then I was promoted as a GSK Production System Manager in 2017, because I have done really well in terms of my production responsibilities, as well as I have learned a lot in GSK and practically execute them in my own department. So then I was promoted as a GSK Production System Manager, and then after within few months, my immediate manager left the organization. So then by that time I was really had to had both the positions, my manager's position as well as my position. So anyway, without any complaint, I was just to get hand over whatever the things my manager was been doing. And I was getting certain knowledge from the other regional team as well, and started to do the things that both people have been doing. So because of that, within 1 year, I was promoted as the GSK Production System, the senior manager, the head of that particular department. So it is I was within 6 years, I was in the senior manager category. It is because I was I did not complain when my manager leave. I did not complain, okay, I need a person. I tried to do my maximum. So in that case, starting from 2018, I was heading that production system function. And again, after some time in 2020, again GSK launched this DMERPS. So it is ERP function. Right. So we moved from BPICS to SAP system. So at that particular time also, all the planning, our planning function, planning manager moved into the DMERPS implementation project. So our managing director requested me whether I can move into the planning and warehousing function. So it is a totally new area for me. I have no idea on warehousing operation as well as planning operation. Being in the production function, it gives me certain idea, okay, this is how production plan is made and this is how the production operations are going. But apart from that, I do not have any kind of idea. But then I take it as a challenge and I know, okay, my background is strong, I will be able to, if I did this kind of difficult calculation in my undergraduate time, I would be able to manage this. That was the first thing came into my mind, okay,
Right.
I will be able to manage this. So I accepted that particular challenge as well, and then I another challenge is that for this MERPS implementation project, all the experienced person in this planning and warehousing function also has been taken. So I had to work with a new team.
Right.
They are really not experienced. So it was again 2020 where the corona period, time to time the production has to be interrupted. So there had been lot of challenges with respect to material availability, things like that. But with this, I still believe it is with this strong foundation that I have, because time to time when challenges are coming up, sometimes I realize, okay, this is sometimes how I manage our assignments and things like that, okay, this is manageable. So, but it is really hard working. Sometimes I had to spend entire 24 hours on doing certain calculations. It is sometimes, including 3 days, I had worked 24 hours because of the certain things that I have to meet. But still it is really every time that I looked into challenge, so it is come into my picture, okay, this is again will give you some sort of experience and will add into your profile.
I think it's really impressive how you have shown such great commitment, and through that you have risen through the ranks in such a short time, and I think the future is looking bright for you. What would you think the future holds for you? What other areas are you keen to explore? You're someone who likes to take on new challenges and someone who's confident enough to accept them. What do you think the future looks like?
So I'm into these Lean Six Sigma initiatives. So currently I'm having a black belt qualification. So now I'm looking for enhancing my qualifications into Master Black Belt, and likewise in the Lean Six Sigma area. As well as after some time, my focus is to mainly focusing on how I'm being a good consultant for the industries, because I have the basic knowledge in chemical and process engineering, and I was in different fields, and I believe my knowledge can be used in most of the local industries where they can optimize their own processes.
Right. Just as an extra question I want to ask you. Now, production systems are very important in any field, in no matter what scale the operations are. The systems and the processes you use for production systems are always vital because they are the heart and soul. And whenever it comes to production systems, things like lean management or Six Sigma, it's very important, and it's all the rage. It's very trending now because all companies, all organizations are trying to reduce their waste and increase their efficiency. Why do you think chemical and process engineers have a special advantage or have a special tendency or a skill when it comes to areas like process improvement and process optimization? Why do you think that is?
It is because the core subjects that we are using. Because let's say if someone else come and observe a process, so they know, okay, this is the mixing equipment that has been provided by the supplier. So then sometimes you have to admit the facts and figures as is. Okay, this is the maximum efficiency, this is the maximum mixing time that you are having. But as per chemical and process engineer, you know how to do your basic mathematical calculations. You know what is the mixture efficiency, whether this machine is suitable for you. And if you are to purchase a new equipment, you know what you have to look at. Because this happens for all particular equipment, heat exchangers, boilers and everything. Because each and every equipment, we are doing a thorough study, right? In your final year individual report, you are designing an equipment and you are determining what is the height of this equipment, what is the diameter. So those things in the industry so far people have not considered. Because what we are usually do is to get an equipment, tell what is our requirement, what is the specification into the to the supplier. Supplier will decide in their equipments what is the equipment that you have to use. But if you have this foundation, if you know this is how it looks like. If you can do the basic mathematical calculation, you know, okay, this is not the equipment that you need. You can go for a cheaper option that will give you the same capacity. As well as by having this background, you know what are the energy efficiency related improvement that you can do. in order to improve the safety of your company, what are the things you have to do? And in order to improve the processes, what are the things that you have to do? So in that case, chemical and process engineering combined with Lean and Six Sigma knowledge. So you can go a vast areas. You will be a huge eye opener to the industry, the top management.
Right. Thank you for that answer. And so since you're a person who has been through a quite considerable journey, and since you came into this discipline with some idea of what it was, and then you said you weren't always as keen on the degree and as keen with your studies as after your industrial training, because first you were, before you were very keen, after the industrial training you were not so keen at first. So as someone who has gone through that journey, and as someone who has gone through that all to perform excellently in the industry, how would you define chemical and process engineering? What is this engineering discipline really all about?
So as per me, I believe chemical and process engineering, so this is related to manufacturing and processes in the industry. So it is like not only the manufacturing and the processes that is happening in the industry, but it's still, I believe, chemical engineering can be used in order to optimize the operations involved in this particular field in terms of output, speed, as well as the safety of the employees. So the chemical engineering is not only about equipment or a process. It is about how you use this knowledge in order to optimize your own industry.
Right. And I think one more interesting question. You said your best friend also joined you when you came to this department. Can I ask, what is she doing now? Where is she?
Yes, she was a petroleum engineer,
right.
and after some time she migrated to Australia, and right now she is working in a wastewater related industry. So she's like doing certain analytical tasks whenever the water limits. So she's kind of a problem solver there. She's solving the water related parameters and everything that when it comes to because in that particular organization also they do not have a chemical engineer. So she's utilizing her knowledge in that particular country to experiment what is the water related parameters and troubleshooting whenever the parameters are getting out of control.
Right. I think it's really interesting to see the vast area that chemical and process engineers are involved in. That just goes to show how much of vast opportunities are really available for people who are so adept at problem solving. Because that's what we learn to do here. We learn to design, to solve problems at the very basic level, so that you can use that knowledge and you can use that skill when you go to the real world industry. And I think the alumni of our department really have proven that in the industry, and there are tangible results to see that as well, and that I think should make us really happy. As a final question, I just want to ask you, if you could give some advice to the younger generation of undergraduates, maybe people who have just started studying chemical and process engineering, or maybe those who are considering to study this field, would you have any advice for them? What would you share with your experience?
Okay, so I do have 3 points to share. So first thing is sometimes you become a chemical engineer by choice, or whether you have no choice, you have decided to become a chemical and process engineer. But still, do not limit your potential because of that. Do not care what others say. Okay, so now as of now you are a chemical engineer. So now try to determine what is your path would look like. Try to explore the opportunities available in the industry. Either you could go into an industry, either you can go into a research field and into academics. So in both areas, try to evaluate what are the pros and cons, and as an undergraduate try to identify, because as I mentioned, I realized later why I am learning these subjects. So that doesn't mean each and every one of you has to go through the same path. So right now just try to understand what is happening in the industry, what a chemical engineer can do in the industry. So a lot of resources are available in the YouTube. So try to understand and be happy and proud of yourself. Ultimately now you have come as an engineer. So you will be passed out as an engineer. So be happy of what you are and try to sharpen yourself. And second point is, yes, in the industry, not only the chemical engineering skills are required, but still you have to develop your leadership skills, communication skills and teamwork skills. So if you are going on to the industry, there are certain set of skills other than the knowledge that is required in order for you to thrive, survive in the industry. So try to understand what are the things that you require. So during your undergraduate time also, try to interact with people and learn something new, and try to develop your soft skills, try to develop your management skills, try Rotaract Club, Toastmasters, and as well as try to do different like CSR activities. And my third point is like it is anyway, because like as a chemical engineer, in any discipline that you are going to go forward, put your heart and soul into what you are going to do. It could be hard, like really time consuming, really stressful days could have come, but try to do your maximum, because when I joined GSK as a management trainee, so I had to work all 7 days and from 8 to 9:30 am at the initial stage, because the plant is not performing as we expected, the output we are not being achieved. Entire team is new, so could not rely on someone. So that is what I believe, like when I have like 3-4 year experience, it is similar to like sometimes 7-8 years, because I have spent more time in the industry. So put your heart and soul into what you are doing right now and try to gain more and more experience and try to shape you up. So after that you will be going into the industry as a real good intellectual with your strong background as well as your management skills. So that is all I have to say.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Gagani Nandadeva, for those inspiring words. I think your story itself was very inspiring to us, and there are a lot of things that we can learn from you. So we are very grateful for you for taking this time to come and spend with us. We know what kind of a busy schedule you must be having, and even then you took time to talk with us, and then so that we might be able to learn something from you. And I think that I speak for everyone when I say that we all do have a lot that we can take from you and from what you have done. Your experience and the stories that you have shared have really added something for our lives and that we can take forward as potential future chemical and process engineers. So thank you so much for joining with us today, and we will be back soon to meet with more illustrious alumni of the DCPE and to talk with them about their stories and their experiences soon. Thank you.